Five, four, three, two, one.
Hey everybody, welcome once again to DEF CON 5, my series of videos talking about defenders and controllers on the City of Heroes Homecoming servers. We're going to be comparing these two classic archetypes head to head in a series of 5 missions looking at 5 stats, comparing 5 pairs of these characters, trying to figure out which of them is the superior supporting buffing, debuffing character, class, archetype in the game. And at DEF CON level 2, we have taken it down to Kinetics, one of the OG buff sets in the game. This one's all about boosting some damage, boosting attack rates, doing a little bit of healing here and there, a little bit of debuff on the side, but it's all about just getting in there, hitting that damage cap, and going to town. And their challengers in this particular round were a defender by the name of Chakra, with Kinetics as his primary, Radiation Blast as his secondary, and Psionic Mastery as his tertiary set, versus Deimos, the Earth-controlling Kinetics secondary set, and Earth Mastery controller. Comparing these guys pseudo head-to-head in these series of missions. And I've already gone ahead and run through Deimos. I've shown you his build. I ran a little solo action. I talked all about Earth Control. And then I did some team trials, and I went through the stats on those and crunched all the numbers and showcased what I found with his particular runs, which were fairly impressive, to be honest. But are they as impressive as Chakra is about to unleash upon you? Because Chakra is all about that boosting and getting everybody jacked up on the juice and unleashing psionic mastery hell. He's kind of this guru of just mental powers and connections of the earth and spirits and the mind and whatever you want to kind of think about, using the force, so to speak, to accelerate himself and his allies, to decelerate, debilitate his enemies, boost up everybody's abilities, and then unleash this power in a burst of cosmic energy, radiation. And Chakra is going to be really relying upon radiation blasts minus defense debuffery. And so I want to take this first moment here to go into a bit of a deep dive on this power set radiation blast. I talked a good deal about it in the initial Challenger video that I put out not a couple weeks ago, a week or week and a half ago, something like that. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go back and take a look. Subscribe to the channel. Go check out the playlist. This whole DEF CON series is on there. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time just kind of looking at each of these powers, looking at City of Data. And then we're going to take a look at his MIDS build and all the slotting and the different IO sets and their bonuses that I've put together for him. And then we're going to wrap up this video looking at a solo run, just some level 50 times 8 action to see how this character operates in gameplay. With that said, let's go ahead and pull up MIDS, or not MIDS, let's pull up City of Data. We'll be right back. Alrighty, here is the City of Data. We're going to go ahead and open up the Defender section, and we're going to go to the secondary power set, click on Radiation Blast, and now let's take a look at what we've got here. Alright, here we go. Here's our list of powers. Neutrino Bolt, X-Ray Beam, Irradiate, Electron Haze, Proton Volley, Aim, Cosmic Burst, Neutron Bomb, and Atomic Blast. It's got a decent amount of AoE here, right? We've got Irradiate, a nice PB AoE, so getting in close and nuking. Electron Haze is a cone. We got Neutron Bomb is a ranged targeted AoE, and then your big old tier 9 nukage, this is another PB AoE, getting in close and unloading. It's really Irradiate and Atomic Blast that I think are going to match up nicely with Kinetics, because Kinetics is going to play close range as well. So let's go ahead and look at the numbers here and see what the big old deal is. So most of your damage, or most of your attacks, are going to do two things. Energy damage, like you see here, 21.7 damage energy for anybody that you hit. And then they're also going to have a sizable defensive debuff. So on defenders, this number is 12.5 base defense debuff. The other thing that you'll see with this power set is that most of your powers, unlike Earth Control, are actually going to allow you to slot these defense debuff sets, like the accurate defense debuff and the standard defense debuff. That was one of the things I was questioning about Earth Control with Deimos there. Deimos, he has a lot of minus defense, but it wasn't slottable with sets. And I like that these options are here for the Defender's Radiation Blast because you can, of course, slot things with your standard damage sets. But when you have options to take a look at some of these debuff or buff sets on top of that, it opens up your variations, your variety, things that you can also dip into. And you might find some interesting sets that you wouldn't normally think. For instance, you don't have to just slot, neutrino bolt for straight damage. You could slot it to just be a whopper of a defense debuff if you so chose. That would give you an option. So I like that because it gives you some other set bonuses that you can maybe sneak in there. But anyway, tier 1, not the best damage, right? But here's what I really want to look at. It's just these defense debuff numbers. 12.5% with this guy. If I slot that a little bit more, I can get, 15, 20, 25% damage, or defense debuff on that. So neutrino bolt. Then we've got X-ray beam is your next one, your tier 2, a little bit more damage, and this one has double the defense debuffing. So just a 1-2 punch with those two is putting you at 37.5% defense debuff. The range is out to 80 feet, which nicely matches most of your kinetic stuff, which is also in that 60, 70, 80 foot range for most of your powers. So those two things are a nice 1-2 combo. And then you got Cosmic Burst. I'll kind of jump to that one. This is your other big single target blast here. So kind of a 1-2-3 punch. This one, the range is also 80 feet. It's doing about double the damage of your X-ray beam, and you've got another massive amount of defense debuff, 37.5 just from this power alone. So between those three, if you go 1-2-3, especially against, let's say, an AV or a boss, you've already knocked down their defense by 75%. Now, I know AVs have resistance to debuffs, but still, that's a pretty sizable chunk, especially if it's somebody who doesn't have those purple triangle resistances on them. The other nice thing about this power, it also has a pretty strong stun, a mag 3 stun. So you're going to stun minions, lieutenants. Bosses have up to a mag 4, so you're not going to single target stun them, but you can pair this with any other stuns you have from your power sets in order to get that stackable boss, single target type of stunning. And the stun in this one lasts almost 12 seconds. That's huge. So you could slot this power as a stunner. So if you wanted to make your defender not so much damagey, but debuffy, controlling, that sort of thing, this gives you those types of options. So those are your 1-2-3, bread and butter powers you're going to bring to the table every fight. You also might grab Proton Volley, which is a snipe attack, single target. But you can use this thing as a tier 4 attack if you wanted to, single target. Because once you fire it or you get the experienced marksman power in it, this thing's going to go into quick fire mode. So it's going to instantly be fireable. You don't have to use the snipes in the homecoming servers as that big interruptible wind-up attack. So once you start attacking, these powers become what are called quick snipes. In this one here, similar, look at this, another 37.5% defense debuff. So if you go 1-2-3-4 with these 4 single target attacks I'm talking about, you've already shredded your enemy's defense by over 100%. I think we're like 110 or something, 112%. That's a huge amount of debuff that you can stack. And these things are, huge amounts of time on top of that. Look at this, 12-second debuff of your defense with your snipe attack here. Cosmic Burst had a 12-second debuff on that one. X-ray beam also, this was 6 seconds. And then neutrino's probably also going to be 6 seconds, 3 seconds. All right. So if you had to sort of chain these together in some sort of logical thing to make them maximum stackability, I would probably open maybe from snipe range Proton Volley if you wanted to. Cosmic Burst for sure. So these two guys are going to give you that 12 seconds. And by the time these things are still counting down, you can follow that up with an X-ray for 6 and then your neutrino for 3. So you can, at least for those last 3 seconds of this combo of 4 shots, have that over 100% defense debuff on these enemies of yours. So that's huge. Then you also have your AoE attacks that have a lot of defense debuff. Like Irradiate, I think is your number 1 or pretty high, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 37.5% defense debuff on this one for 10 seconds. It's got a DOT of 3-4 per second, or every half second for 4.6 seconds. So this thing's going to tick the initial burst, and then it's going to go every half second after that until the 4.6 seconds. So that's going to, what, proc? How many times is that? Like 9, 8, 9, 10 times, something like that. So you're putting out a big old, string of damage for almost 5 seconds here. And you got that big old debuff that lingers an extra 5 seconds after your explosion ends. This is a bit of an expensive power, so just FYI, it's almost 19, so about a fifth of your endurance. The recharge is 20 seconds, but you can pretty much make this debuff perma, because you can get this recharge down to like 10 seconds, and it lasts for 10 seconds. So by the time, this 10 seconds on the debuff wears off, you've got this thing recharged and you hit him again. So easily you're going to have this is a perma debuff if you're in melee range with your enemies, which you're going to be on this particular character in his build. And the radius is 20 feet. Target cap is 16, so you're going to be able to hit pretty much the entire group of foes. And that 20% radius matches like your fulcrum shifts radius. It matches your transfusion radius. It matches your transference radius. So all that stuff is going to be popping all in that area of effect all around you, unloading all kinds of damage and debuff. Then the other power we're going to kind of jump to is Atomic Blast, because it's similar. It's like it radiates like your baby nuke, and Atomic Blast is your big boy nuke. This one you go in there, same idea, PB AoE, point blank range. This has actually a little bit bigger radius out to 25 feet, same target cap as 16. But this one packs a massive minus 50% debuff. So if you hit with your 2 nukes right there, your 87.5% defense debuffery that you're throwing out there, and you throw in some of those single targets while this thing is lingering for 20 seconds, you're going to destroy, especially a single target's defense. Let's say you go in there and just unload on the boss of these 2 nukes, and then chain or follow that with your 1, 2, 3, 4 single target blasts. I think you'll be able to easily get 150, 200% defense debuff stackable against your targets. Damage is pretty massive on this one, a bunch of energy damage, and it comes with a nice sizable hold on it for about 15 seconds, a mag 3 hold that you can juice somebody up with. You can easily get some additional holds from hold procs and that sort of thing to make it this is a semi-controlling set, because you do have the stun already with Cosmic Burst. You got the nuke hold here with Atomic Blast. You also jumping over to Electron Haze. Here's your cone attack. This packs a little bit of knockback, so you can get a little bit of knockback, knock your enemies down for a few seconds. Gives you a little bit more control. Also, it's going to add up to some damage mitigation. So this power, almost 50 energy damage, 25% defense debuff, 8-second duration on that. The range is a little bit short, so you got to be careful. Only about a 40-foot range. But as you're, going into that melee, this is a good, I don't want to say opener, but hey, on your way in, chuck your Electron Haze, maybe knock down a few targets, and then you're in there and hitting a fulcrum shift followed by your baby nuke and your big nuke. Then you start single targeting away. The knockback chance is not that great though, so you can't rely upon this to take out an entire group of foes, right? You're going to hit 1 out of 4, and the target cap is 10. So realistically, you're going to knock 2-3 guys down if you hit the target cap. So again, it's not going to be your cure to not taking damage, but it can pitch in a little bit on the way, so it is usable. Then you've got Neutron Bomb is your last AoE power, and this is a ranged targeted AoE, so you hurl this at a group of foes that are within 80 feet, so this is a big range on this power. So this is your long range nuke. It's going to do 25% debuff. So this could be something you chuck in, charging in. You hit them with the cone electron haze as you're halfway in there. You get in there, you fulcrum shift. You then unload the two nukes, mini nuke, baby nuke there, and then your big nuke. And then just go to town on single target stuff. And all these AoEs, your cones, pretty sizable defense debuffs, 25, 37.5, 50%, 16-second duration on this one. Your cone duration was what? Base defense only 8 seconds on this one. And then you've got your nuke duration on that one was 20 seconds. Irradiates debuff duration, that's 10 seconds. So all this stuff's going to add up, and you're going to be able to just shred enemies' defenses for a fairly sizable chunk of time. Easily perma minus defense of 50%. I think is not without within reason. I think you could easily hit that, double that, triple that. You can perma lower enemies' defense. The only trick, of course, is hitting. You have to hit first in order to get these things to start debuffing. And that's where, of course, aim can come in. So aim's going to give you the plus to hit, the plus damage. So that'll help make sure that you get that initial strike on enemies. And this is one, advantage that defenders have over controllers, especially with Kinetics, which also requires a lot of to hitting, is you have this natural ability to boost your to hit to make sure that that initial strike lands. And once it does and you start landing some of that minus defense, it's going to make every other follow-up ability after that equally likely and more likely to start hitting. So overall, I like this combination of radiation blast with kinetics. I think they're kind of like peanut butter and jelly. They're going to go together nicely. All right, that is the main stuff I wanted to talk about with the Radiation Blast set. Let's go ahead and take a look at the MIDS build for Chakra and see what I'm planning with this guy. Give me 1 second. All right, here is Chakra's build. And if we go down the list, you can see I have just about everything in Kinetics, exception is Repel. I didn't take Repel with my controller either. I talked about this power in the Challenger video. It's just, for me, kind of counter to what Kinetics is trying to do, which is keep things close and hitting them with all these buffs and debuff type of powers and knocking things down or around. Like it's designed to be a fairly hefty knockback and repelling and knocking things away from you, which is again counterproductive. I know you can slot it for the knockback to knock down, but once I start doing that and thinking that way, I'm turning the power into something that it's not even designed to do. Why take it at that point? I mean, is it really saving my butt? Maybe it does. Maybe some of you guys out there have taken it and will swear by this power. I just don't like the combo that I have to make it into a power that it's not designed to do. And then it's going to absorb a bunch of endurance. I think every time you hit a target, it fires more endurance. So anyway, to me, it's just not worth it. The Radiation Blast set, I took everything except for Proton Volley, which is kind of a shame. I would like to get Proton Volley in there as well, but I went for aim, right? I want to make sure I'm getting that. That's a hit buff. I've got all my AoEs in here, which I think are going to be nicely teamed up with the Kinetics damage buffs. So I had to kind of sacrifice something. The only place maybe I could squeeze another way to get power is if you come over here to my pool powers, you notice I did take hasten, because one of the things I want this build to do is recharge quickly. It's all about speed for this guy. As you can see, he's up to 100% recharge. That's with hasten 70%. And he's going to be very attacky, very damagey, very mobile and get in, get out type of thing, because he has crap for defenses. Look at these defenses, single digits. This is not going to save you. And then resistances, even, my resistances aren't that great. I got 50% smash lethal. That's pretty much it. And I got about 50% psi, and that's all he's got. So he doesn't have a lot of ways to mitigate with, the standard stuff. So my only other way to get any mitigation is through some control, which I do have from some of the powers here, but not a ton. I am going to get some mitigation from my, where is it here? From my Psi Mastery power pool. Let me go ahead and scoot this up a little bit so you can see it better. So I did grab Psi Mastery. I'm a fan of Psi Mastery on defenders. And the big reason I am is right here, Mass Hypnosis. To me, that is the best defender AoE control that you can get. Believe it or not. I mean, to me it is because it's an auto hit sleep. So I can sit here and put to sleep anybody within 80 feet range. It's only mag 3, so you won't get bosses. But everybody else, minions, lieutenants, is going night night, bye bye with this power. So to me, that's huge. For 49 seconds, you're putting a bunch of dudes to sleep. Huge, huge ability. And what's the range on this thing? Range is 80 feet. So from 80 feet out, I can put a whole group to sleep except for, those couple of bosses in the group for up to 49 seconds. I mean, that is massive amounts of mitigation. So you're going to see me open with mass hypnosis quite frequently in order to put to sleep most of the group that I'm about to run in there and fulcrum shift explode all over them. So that's the big mitigation plan for this guy. I also went ahead and snagged telekinesis. Now, normally I would never ever take telekinesis, but I saw somebody using telekinesis in I think it was one of my DEF CON videos I was running, and somebody was like working magic with this thing. So I'm curious how it works. So this will be an interesting thing for me because I didn't have this in the original build. I actually had World of Confusion, and the idea being there that I would be going into melee a lot, and this is an aura confuse, so you would go into melee with your fulcrum shift and that sort of thing, and you'd confuse a bunch of guys and get mitigation that way. But this is the worst confusion power in the game. It's just so inconsistent. It does some damage. It kind of confuses, but it's a low mag 2 confuse. It doesn't seem to fire that frequently. It's also endurance heavy. It draws aggro more than it mitigates, so it just is a terrible power. So I ditched it, and I go ahead and grab telekinesis instead. And it used to be like a toggle hold slash repel. They've changed it a little bit. It kind of works weird now. It's more of a magnet kind of power, the way I understand it. So you target somebody and you push toward it, pull toward it. I don't know. I'm gonna play around with it and see how it works. It's kind of an interesting idea. If it helps me to clump things together, which I think is what it does. It's more of an immobilize push pull power now. And you'll see I've got it slotted with the gravitational anchor hold proc. So I'm kind of curious how those things are gonna team up. I want to see what this thing's gonna do. Beyond that, I've got some pseudo standard slotting, at least for me, and how I put a lot of my sort of basic blasty kind of characters together. You'll notice that I'm going to be using some hold proc powers like Devastations. I like this set. I've mentioned this a few times before in my Defender builds with the chance to hold. So those chances to hold are here, and Neutrino there, and X-Ray. And that's going to go nicely with my Atomic Blast has the chance to hold in it as well. So I think those 1, 2, 3 can give me some additional mitigation that I'm looking for. Another thing you're going to see me doing is I've got some chances for resistance debuff. So here's an example where the defender sets or the defender powers allow you to slot these minus these minus defense sets. So I put an Achilles in there for the chance to get the resistance debuff. I have another resistance debuff power sitting here, a neutron bomb from Annihilation set. Did I grab another one of those anywhere? I don't think off the top of my head. So I got a couple chances for resistance debuff. Tactics, I got the chance for buildup in there. I've got aim, like I mentioned before. So you'll see I've got a lot of chances to boost damage, do more damage between aim, tactics, chance for buildup. I'm running assault for more damage. The damage buff on assault is pretty good for defenders. It's 18.75% damage boost. So that's going to help me kill faster. course, you got fulcrum shift going. You got your siphon power boosting your damage. If I'm running my defender all by himself, I'm going to get the vigilance damage boost out of that. So solo, it's much more potent. All right, so I've got that running. What other magical crazy stuff am I going here? Transfusion. I've got a Theft of Essence in here with a chance for endurance. What else? Do Siphon Speed. I did put the damage proc for the impeded swiftness in that one. Get a little more damage here and there. Mass Hypnosis. I put the Call of Sandman chance for self-heal for a little bit more, support / mitigation for myself. Speed Boost. I'm not 100% sure this works here, but I got the Performance Shifter, chance for plus endurance. I think it works. I think when I hit targets with this, I think I've tested this, it has a chance to not just boost, speed boost, chance for, or boost in recovery and recharge, but it also has a chance, I'm pretty 100% sure about this one, 90%, 95%, that it can trigger an endurance boost on my target. At least I think I've seen that in my pet window. So, curious to see how that's going to work out as well. I also have the Victory Rush because one thing that this build does do is suck a lot of endurance, so I need ways to mitigate that. So, Victory Rush is going to be key to that. I have the increased run speed unique in that set or in that power. Health, I'm pulling the Panacea in here, the chance for plus hit points, plus endurance. Because again, I'm concerned about the overall totals on my endurance and endurance drain. We can kind of take a look at that. I've got recovery 3-2, drain is around 1. So I've got pretty good numbers 3-1, but I'm going to be slinging powers like nobody's business. And a lot of the stuff is pretty heavy endurance, like the irradiate power. I mentioned this looking at the CDA data. The endurance cost in this is 14. I mean, that's big. You've got stuff like Electron Haze's cost is 11.5. I've got Neutron Bomb. Its cost is, close to 10. Atomic Blast. Its cost is 21.5. What else am I throwing out here that's got a bunch of damage? Cosmic Burst. Its cost 6. Fulcrum Shift, if I remember, is pretty heavy. Fulcrum Shift's almost 10 on that one. Transfusion, that one costs 5. So if I'm constantly throwing out these siphons, these transfusions, these attacks, I'm going to be just blowing through endurance like nobody's business. So I've got transference helping me with that, getting some endurance back. I've got the health with the Panacea in it, going to help me get some of that blue juice back. But Victory Rush is going to be nice to throw that in there every now and then and boost. And it's also going to help my team get recovery. So this guy should be able to buff the crap out of his team just with his kinetics. He should have a run and gun style with a decent ability to throw out some serious damage as needed. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all just stacks together and works. He's one of these kind of edge of your seat sort of builds. I mean, other than that, there's nothing, super crazy. Just kind of looking at your numbers. Theft of Essence, regen, maximum endurance, heal, damage. Your devastations, regen, hit points, damage, some fire cold resistance. You've got the impeded swiftness, resistance, smash lethal, slow enhancement. I got an obliteration set in here, smash lethal resistance, damage buffing, accuracy, recharge. You've got sudden acceleration. I do have the knockback to knockdown here in Electron Haze. It's most useful there, I think, because I don't like to throw the guys flying with Electron Haze. Because when it does proc that 25% chance for knockback, it throws them kind of far. So this is much better. I don't want them scattering. Speed boost, already talked about performance shifter, movement speed, hit points, recovery, damage. You'll notice a lot of my set bonuses are having some extra damage in them. That's something that's pretty common with a lot of these sets here. I went with Impervium Armor, Recovery, Psi Defense, and I took the Psi Resistance extra enhancement there. I think I also have that down here in Mind Over Body. Yeah, I also went with Impervium Armor there. Got it 4 slotted Recovery, Psi Defense Max N, and I've got the extra Psi Resistance here. That's how I managed to get close to 50% Psi. Transference, I'm looking at preemptive optimization, maximum endurance, hit points, toxic psi resistance, recharge. We've got a Thunderstrike sitting here in Cosmic Burst, recovery, some defense, accuracy, movement speed, tactics. I've got that 5 slotted, movement speed, hit points, recovery, damage. Already mentioned annihilation over here in Neutron Bomb, endurance, resistance to energy negative, regen, endurance discount. We've got another obliteration over here in Atomic Blast, resistance smash lethal, damage, accuracy, recharge. Mass Hypnosis, already talked about. Call of Sandman's in there. Sleep enhancement, hit points, max endurance, recharge. Then we've got Telekinesis, the Gravitational Anchor. Already talked about the chance for holding there, but the rest of the stuff is recovery, resistance to fire cold, accuracy enhancement, recharge enhancement. So I was going with a lot of recharge enhancements, a lot of damage buffing, and a lot of endurance mitigating strategies here. So my overall, numbers, taking a look at the stuff, already talked about the crappy defense and resistance. Recovery's pretty good. Already said that. That's a hit. I'm looking at, close to 60% with tactics running. Endurance reduction across the board is 5.5. My recharge is 100. Already said that to you. The other thing I want to show you is where is it? The advanced totals, miscellaneous buffs. So here is my damage potential boosting is 223. That's, with build up firing, that's going to give me the chance to build up in tactics there. So if I shut it off, we're 143.25. When that does fire, we're at 223. And if I click aim, that's going to push me up to 273. So I can damage cap this guy pretty easy. I haven't even, does this even factor in like fulcrum shift at this point? No, I don't think it does. Throw fulcrum in there, 348. Throw siphon power in there, 373. So this guy is going to damage cap. And I forget what defender's damage cap is. I know controllers it was 300. I don't remember. Is defender's 400? It's at least 300 matching controllers, but I'm assuming it's higher than the controller's damage cap. So I should be able to out damage pretty easily the amount of damage with assault factoring in there more than what I was doing with Demos. I mean, it should just be a straight up fact that that's what's going to happen. He's going to out damage Demos. Now, is he going to be able to sustain that level of damage? That's the real question. And the bigger question is survivability, because if I hit and hit hard, then great, I'll survive. But if I start getting incoming fire, if I get mezzed, I'm dead. This is the way it's going to go. So that should be interesting, taking a look at that solo test I'm going to do in a few minutes just to see what happens there. That'll be my gauge. But really, this guy's not designed to be a soloer, so I'm not going to pretend that he is. If he gets on a team, though, I think he's going to be just a live wire. He's going to be able to plug in, juice everybody up, debuff the crap out of the enemy, their whole defense, and just unleash some damage cap explosions, even without vigilance. He should be able to hit his own cap no problem. I just need somebody to keep the damn aggro off me. Maybe get my own buffing so that I have like a clear mind or something like that, so I'm not getting stunned or whatever. But hey, that's the way it's going to go. And that is also why I want to take a look at my choices for incarnates. Looky, guess what? I'm taking Clarion. You see me taking on pretty much every defender, controller, whatever that I've been showing you in these DEF CON. It's because of the Mez protection. End of story. This is the biggest weakness and the biggest BS in this game is how, defenders, whatever, they don't have any Mez protection, right? Constantly, you can get Mez all the time. If you don't have some way to get yourself out of Mez, you're screwed. You can't support if you're held, slept, stunned, fear, whatever. So you need something. If you want to carry a whole big basket of break freeze, go for it. My choice is, at least for level 50 and up, is grabbing Clarion. That's going to boost all my, status effect protection. But the big thing I've talked about plenty of times, is just how it boosts up your specials. So that's not going to be a huge impact on my survival numbers like you saw with plenty of my characters who have some defense. It's really not going to do much for his defense. But where it will give me some boosting is things like, my heals, my transfusions as an example. Let's see here. Transfusion numbers. See if I can pull these up for you. Get this cleared. Is it going to show me? Yeah, so it looks like what I'm doing from 127 up to 184, so pretty sizable boost for your healing there. Speed boosting is going to give me some boost on that I can see. Boost my range. Oh yeah, the ranges. That's the other thing that's going to boost my range of all these attacks. That's going to be awesome. So, right, it's boosting my movement speed. But it's going to be hilarious. So when I hit you with a Clarion boosted speed boost, you're going to be bouncing off the literal walls with this guy. It's also going to help with any of my control powers that I do have. So that's going to be useful, like my sleepiness. What does that do with mass hypnosis? Let me just see what the numbers are. Mass hypnosis. So the sleep was 49 seconds. If it's Clarion boosted, 72.9 seconds of sleeping. Nighty night, guys, right? I can put you to sleep for over a minute if you're even leveled to this guy. That makes, if I want to stealth past some group, right, I can sleep them and just, whip past them while they're just taking a little nap for like over a minute. All right, what else did I grab with this guy? I went along with that damage theme, so I'm going with musculature as my alpha. That boosts your. Let me move my face out of the way over here. It's going to boost my damage. Move myself over here. You're getting damage, immobilize, which I do have some immobilize with the. I'm hoping this helps with telekinesis numbers. Let me see if it shows. I don't know if it's weird because telekinesis still says it's like a whole, but it's really not because I'm pretty sure they can attack you while being telekinesed. But I thought it's classified more as a immobilized now. But anyway, damage, immobilized, defense debuffing, right? Those defense debuff numbers can be even sicker now with this. So let's say irradiate is what 49.88% when I have muscular on, so it goes from 37.5 up to almost 50% debuffing. What is atomic blast? That was 50% already. What is it now? 66.5% defense debuff. So that musculature is turning this guy into just a defense shredding machine. I mean, he is gonna floor the defenses of anybody that he gets in touch with, aside from an AV out there. Paralytic's another thing he's running here. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm boosting the damage, right? I mean, does that show up on this window? Let me pull this up. Advanced totals again. Does this help show that? Miscellaneous buffs. I don't think it shows up here for the damage boosting. Let me see if it changes anything. Yeah, it doesn't affect these. Those are damage boosting overall. But anyway, musculature is going to boost all my individual damages. Then we've got paralytic minus like I'm going all in on the minus defense, as you guys can tell. So paralytic gives me some minus defense, some minus damage. Also, the minus damage will stack with my fulcrum shift and with my siphon power abilities. So that's kind of the idea there. I'm just going all in on some of these effects. So paralytic, throw that crap in there. What does that do to something like irradiate? Check out irradiate's numbers now. 79, almost 80%. That is, let me unclick my stuff again. So here we go. So the base numbers on irradiate are 37.5. So you got that. 37.5. If I turn on musculature that has the defense debuff, that turns up to the 50%. Clarion takes it up to 80%. And then the paralytic has the chance to proc another 2.5. So just this one power alone, right? Irradiate all by its lonesome is 82, almost 83% debuff of what? I forget what's the target cap on this thing again. 10, 15, 16, whatever it was. The numbers on atomic blast are even, more gross than that, right? 106 plus the 2.5, so we're looking at 108, 109% defense debuffing. Good night. Melee, I took this as my radial hybrid here. Melee radial. Regen, defense, and status protection. So this is typically something you'd see, and like I take this a lot, like on, let's say, a brute or something like that. But I'm going to be in melee a lot, so it's going to boost my defenses, which I could use. Let's go take a look at the total. So when melee is activated, and it's not going to show you because I don't think there's a way, if anybody knows how, but to designate how many targets, because it boosts your defense per target you are next to. It also boosts your status protection per enemy you're next to, and it gives you a regen bonus all the time. So that's the other thing I'm looking for on this. Some more survivability. It takes me from 184 regen to 214. So if I'm in melee, I get extra defenses, I get more status protection, and I get some more regen. And then I went with one of my favorites of my judgment powers, the almighty, the big old ground pound smash, big old huge knockup. Not only does it do damage, but the knockup buys you a few seconds of peace as the entire group of enemies is just thrown up in the air. They slam to the ground, and then they take a couple seconds to stand back up. This is a great, after you mass hypnose, for instance, from range, you dive in near the melee, do a fulcrum shift to jack up your juice, slam them with mighty. As they're landing, you then hit them with atomic blast, you hit them with a radiate. By the time they're up, they're already 3/4 dead, and then you can just start unloading with your single target stuff. If you took any damage, you're transfusing, transferring to get your blue bar back. So it's a great combo with those other two PB AoEs. And last but not least, kind of for flavor, I took Polar Lights. They also do some minus defense, which is one of the big things I'm kind of going for here. The Incarnate pets do minus defense. And I think they also have some knockback, possibly. Yeah, so they do have minus defense with their blasts. But I think they also, I forget which version I took. I know I have the radio, but I forget which one has the some knockback in them. They just blast from range, so they're not, the greatest sturdy pets. They hang back, which is nice because I don't need my pets just charging in with me all the time. If they stay at range, firing away, they'll kind of watch my back for me while I'm busy up close. And if they die, so be it. All right, well, there you go. That is Chakra's just killer build. I really went for the damage. I really went for the defense debuff. And I've got lots of little ways for getting my endurance back, getting my healing kicking off, and getting a little bit of mitigation with some stun, some sleep, some hold, some immobilize. And hopefully between all that, he should be survivable long enough to get the job done. Solo, it'll be risky, but I think on teams, it's going to be just a huge bonus to the team. And that's what I want to find out. And I'm going to compare his data to what I saw with Demos from the other day, the other video I did with him. All right, let me go ahead and pause this so I can set up a solo run with this guy and show what he's able to do. Be right back. Alrighty, let's see. We got Chakra. This is Chakra. Let me pull up COH again here. Alright, so here's Chakra. My Defender, Kinetics Defender, Radiation Blast, Psi Mastery. And I'm set to 54. Sorry, just 50 times 8. So just plus zeros. I've got a stealth IO in my sprint so that I can get a little bit closer. And instead of Polar Lights, I had switched over to the Talons of Vengeance. So that's my one difference from the build that I had mentioned right before this. I was going to go Polar Lights because of the minus defense, but then those things are a little bit soft, so I swapped over to the Talons of Vengeance. I kind of like these the ones with the wings and stuff. They're kind of creepy. They're pretty cool, pretty tough. So going to get them out because, as you've seen me showcase before, these pets are doing a bunch of damage, whether you're a controller or a defender. So I'm going to go ahead and bring these puppies out. I have the core side so I can get the extra damage instead of, or not core, but I have the one that can attack. Get them buffed up. So I've got keybind TY for my two big buffs there. And so here's what I'm going to do. Let's get Clarion going. Go ahead and do this. Charge in. Well, that's wigging out. He is wigging. Dude, crazy. Oh, now you freaking throw a heal on me. Thanks, appreciate it. Little victory rush. Alright, let's keep going. I had to get used to this, this TK. I don't know exactly what it's gonna do. It's kind of freaky, though. This looks like a big-ass group, guys. Let me juice up. Living and dying by the sword. Not liking it, not liking it. Where's my tank? Don't have any defenses, guys. I have none. Leave my pets alone. I'm gonna need lots of purples. Lots of purples. Recharging TK is ridiculous. Look at all these guys down here. Alright, let's do this. I'm like low on options right here. Low on options. On options. Where is my... Even my mass hypnosis is taking forever to recharge. I'm gonna wait till that gets up, and then I'm gonna go ahead and throw it down there, and then I'm gonna get in there and nuke. Damn, dude, that wasn't nice. My damage cap's only 300? I thought it was at least more than that. I thought I was set for bosses, but I haven't seen any yet. Alright, well, I don't know. Set up. So you can see this guy's pretty much has huge spike damage. But he's going to take a beating. So I think if I get on a team where I've got some cover, I can... Oh, no, I hate these effing guys. Just like that, kids. Just like that. Yeah. It's like a huge group in there. All right. Listen, I think you know how this is going to go. It's going to be pretty much this. I kill a few rooms. I get killed in a few rooms. This guy is not a soloer at all. Yeah, I mean, that's how he plays, guys. Right there. So, I'm not going to finish this mission. It's just going to be a nightmare. So, I'm gonna kind of wrap it with that, I think. I think that's what you're going to see out of this guy. He's just going to do gobs of damage and then take gobs of damage. End of story. That's why I need this guy to be on a team. All right, I got to get TK fully slotted on it. That was my other problem. I think I bought... Yeah, I bought the recipes, but I got to finish crafting them. I forgot I wasn't done. I think I put in... Yeah, all right, I got the pieces for it. So, I'll be able to craft some of these purples. That's what I needed to do. And then I'll finish. Because I did a respec on this guy right before before I got into this. So I'm going to finish slotting this up with the gravitational anchors. That'll get the recharge, I think, better on that power. But I'm surprised how slow the recharge is on this. Why is mass hypnosis so slow of a recharge? A minute? Ouch. I like have to work on that. I don't really know if I can milk any more recharge out of this guy, honestly, without sacrificing too much. All right. Well, anyway, that's the deal, guys. That's it. He either kills or is killed. He's very blastery like that. Low level blaster. Not a lot of survivability. I need cover. If I have cover, I don't have to sit here and wait for my stuff to recharge. You saw when I had mass hypnosis on the group, it was very survivable. When I had TK, that was kind of that weird thing that bounced that guy around. That was good. I think that'll be interesting. I have to play around with this guy a little bit more, but I'm curious. Hopefully he can keep a team alive, not himself. He may be my number one self-defeated test in the DEFCON series. Everybody else has done pretty good at keeping themselves alive, but I don't know about this guy. That's gonna reminds me. I'm gonna have to go and buy one of the. Make sure I have it. Don't have it already. I'm gonna have to get one of the temp res powers. I think I'm gonna need it. I'm gonna need it. All right. Well, there you go. That's what he does. That's what he's gonna do. That's what's gonna happen. If you want to tank for me, thumbs up. You want to brute for me, I'll take you. I can't have any buffers on the team, but I need someone to pull some aggro. Dominator, use a Dommy, lock down some crap so I can get in there and unload. All right, I'll catch you in the next vid, which is going to be his team trials. I'm going to put that together and see the difference between now and then. All righty, have yourselves a good one. Later.